Welcome back. It's the Jeremy Mills podcast for Monday, April 20th, 2020. I've been busy, so check out jeremymillspodcast.com or your favorite podcasting app to check out the most recent episodes. A lot of times, interviews with the best of Seattle and Washington basketball. There was a technical issue with the first minute and a half of this video, so we will start the episode in progress. And without further ado, here is that episode. It's number 182 with Dave King and Jamal Crawford from Rainier Beach.
Welcome to the Jeremy Mills podcast.
From the coach to the core, every story is real. Broadcast the podcast, Jeremy Mills.
Shout out in 3 beats.
I'm feeling myself. I'm feeling it.
How do you guys meet? Do you know each other before playing basketball together?
I'll let Dave tell that story.
Well, we went to middle school together, but I mean, I know Jamal in elementary, but we actually went to South Shore Middle School together, and he ended up going back to LA for a couple years and came back to Seattle like 6'5". He was probably, what you say, about 5'8", 5'9" when he left, and came back 6'5". It was like we saw a ghost. So it was like a childhood friend that actually came back. And once we established what we were doing there, we really just became best friends and took off from there. I begged him to come play for Rainier Beach because he was going to go play at Franklin High School. So I think I got my wish, and we know the end of the story. So.
And what were you up to when he was gone, Dave? Were you consistently in the basketball scene? Had you kind of already had your foot in the door?
Well, yeah. I mean, we playing. I mean, Jamal likes to tell us a story to my mom and my wife that back at South Shore, I was playing basketball in a suit.
He was. Or take his jacket and get to his shot.
or a silk shirt. I mean, I've always had a passion for it. Started off at Rainier Vista when it was just, community ball back in the day. So, and just found a love and a passion for it. Absolutely.
What do you remember about meeting as he came back? He's grown all this height. Was it immediately like, all right, what are we going to do in basketball together? Were you always this duo when you were playing together that you meshed so well? You were friends, obviously.
Well, I'll elaborate first. When he came back, he had came to Rainier Beach, and I was like, man, what's up, man? What you doing? He said, I moved back up here. I said, man, can you come play with me here at Beach, man? I need a point guard that can help me. And I was pretty much begging, to be honest with you.
And Jamal obliged.
Yeah, I'll let him let him tell his part on that. Give his take.
So when I first came back, I think I was 16, and I remember my first coach I ever had. His name was Coach Bugs. He was kind of taking me around and kind of giving me the landscape about which team was doing what. It came down to the 3 major schools everybody talked about: was Garfield, Franklin, and Beach. And Garfield, I never really felt comfortable being in that area, to be honest with you. My mom went there, actually. And then Franklin, my cousin Gabe went there. So that was, something I was thinking about. But then at Rainier Beach, I just felt like, okay, Dave, I had childhood friends. Like they said, they needed a guard. And I thought I was that guard that could kind of help catapult them because all the talent was there. It was just they needed a guard, and I think they needed that confidence. And I came in with both, to be honest with you. I remember our first summer league. It was at Sumner. I think the first game, we won like 100 to like 20 or something like that. And we pretty much beat everybody pretty handily throughout the tournament. And I remember the championship, we played Mercer Island. And I had like 45 or 50 or whatever it was, and Dave was killing it. And for us, that was like a new chapter because Mercer Island was looking at basketball royalty.
Right.
Our coach, and even though we lost that particular game, our coach and Dave and everybody, because I'm still learning the landscape, who's who and what's what. They were like, "Oh man, we're gonna be just fine if we could play them like that right now without actually practicing and playing together much. We're gonna win it." And from that tournament, we just always, and that was in the summer, so that was like June or July, maybe.
Yeah.
From that point on, we just believed, we never doubted we won the championship. Then we ended up playing Mercer Island again. In a few other tournaments that summer, we beat them every time. But that first game that we lost actually was the one that kind of proved that we could do it. And we had a belief and it never wavered from that point to the point you're talking about on March 7th in 1998.
Crazy.
And what built up to that? And I'm skipping over a lot to get there, but you had the talent. You guys were both obviously very talented, very skilled players. Dave, you had the size, the build to be just dominant and the footwork to be great. And then Jamal, obviously, with his quickness and the crossover and his shot-making ability and his shot-taking ability even. But, you didn't get that state championship until your senior year. So what was building up to that?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I mean, Rainier Beach had always kind of been considered as the bottom or the barrel, or we like to say kind of like East Side High or the has-beens. And we just wanted to prove to the world that we were here. And for somebody like Jamal to come along and be able to create an atmosphere where it made everybody gel the right way, he just brought a new swing and momentum to high school basketball. I mean, Rainier Beach we were decent, but my junior year, we were actually good. We were just missing, like he said, that guard that could get us over the hump. And then once he showed up at the end of that school year or going into the summer of that, it just flew by, man. It was like the dawning of a new era, that he brought a new addition to basketball to Washington, where you can be flashy, you can be classy, but yet and still you know how to win. It wasn't about him getting 50 points a game, because he could have averaged 40 points in high school easily, but that wasn't what it was going to take for us to win. He knew in order for us to win that he had to involve all of his teammates. He had to make sure that he was leading by example so people would follow.
Why did you know that, Jamal, at such a young age?
I've always been a winner, to be honest with you. Like, even when I was 8, 9 years old, it was never about, I can score 40. Like, okay. But I love passing. Like, I love playing with the team and being in the team. And to add on to what Dave said, I played in the pro-am. I literally played with Doug Christie. And I was 16, averaging 30 points. I averaged more in the pro-am than I did in high school. But I knew I'm a young kid getting a lot of attention. Going back to high school, if I score 30 points, it's like, okay, but nobody else is involved. So I'm like, no, I'll scale back, because I think that'll increase our chances to win. From the standpoint, it won't be a jealousy thing. Everybody will be involved, and I think it'll make our team better. And so for me, I averaged 30, like I said then, but I think I averaged 23 in high school. I averaged 11 assists, 6 rebounds, 4 steals. So it was about a challenge, just how I can try to, impose my will in different areas of the game. But more than anything, like, it was never any doubt the championship was the most important thing. Like, me and Dave just talked about it when we were talking to some of the kids. We never once in that time period said, hey, let's do this to make all state. Let's do this to make all metro. Like, we never brought it up, ever. It was like, let's win the championship. And then everything else follows. Like, when they told me I won, I think Metro Player of the Year, I was like, oh, okay. Like, it was never a thought, like, let me try to get this. Let me try to win State Player of the Year, whatever. I was like, nah, if you win, everybody's happy and good things come from the winner. Everybody wants to be associated with the winner.
Those big facts.
And Dave, you're seeing it probably even at a different level now, because you had then at, getting your all states and all that kind of stuff. But now it's Instagram likes, it's all this other stuff that can be superficial almost. So how do you teach these kids to not fall into that trap?
Well, I honestly, I try not to bring up what Jamal and myself did. Obviously, they look at Jamal. He's obviously an image, but he's also an alumni. So I try to make it as real as possible. I say Jamal Crawford went through these same woes at this same school with this same coach. How do you separate yourself to put yourself in a position where you can win, keep your teammates involved, and just enjoy high school? Because real life starts after your senior year when you go to college. So it's like the thing that I try to breathe life into these young men is that enjoy the moment, because it's before a blink of an eye, your high school career is going to be over with. And sometimes you're in the other end looking back like, I coulda, shoulda, woulda. So versus them going down that road, I'd rather them just take the path of what Jamal took. His path may not be everybody for the NBA, but being able to go to college and be able to experience different things in life, and high school is supposed to be fun, man. It's no pressure.
Yeah, and I always tell the kids, every single group that comes through, no matter what, like, I'm like, this is the most enjoyable time you'll ever have playing basketball. Like, when I was in high school, I used to dream about the NBA. And now playing in the NBA, playing in college and all that, like, it loses a little bit of its purity from the standpoint that high school, you get to just have fun with your friends, throw on your clothes, go see what everybody's doing afterwards. You're not even thinking about anything. Like, it's no politics involved. Still a purity there to it. And this, to me, and I always tell them that this will be the most fun you ever have playing basketball. So enjoy it. Don't look into the future. Like, enjoy this time, because when you get to the future, you'll look back and say, I should have enjoyed that time, but this is the most fun I ever had.
It's amazing. It's amazing for him to say that, Jeremy. 19 years in the league, the highest level of basketball that you could play in, and played with a lot of Hall of Famers and adored by Hall of Famers, but yet and still he has not wavered with that answer of this is the most fun he's ever had. So, I mean, the respect level that I have for that, because I obviously never went that high, and where Jamal went, it's basketball, for him to be able to say that, there has to be some truth in that. You know what I'm saying? So,
and I think, Dave, it lets you know, especially that, okay, I know how much fun, talking about you, David King, I know how much fun I had in high school, but man, I missed out on playing the NBA. Did I miss out? Did I truly miss out? But I'm here to tell you, you didn't miss out. Like, high school was the most fun.
Right.
That's huge for a lot of people to hear, because I think even today there's a lot of pressure, even as you're younger, to be on the right path, to be in the NBA, to do this and to do that. And a lot of that is lost. But even watching this game that came through, you guys were, that's the time of your life. And especially this game, there was a lot of pressure, I'm sure. And we'll get into that. But this is, I'm sure when I mention some of these names, I have the starting lineup right here. Tim Ellis, Mateo Jack.
Yes.
Phil Heath.
Yeah.
Of course, Jamal and David. And then you had Mike Bethea, and then Ricky Frazier, 5'8". That's a guy I liked watching. And then William Conroy. That was a funny name to hear.
Yeah.
I swear they called him Willie Conroy at one point, but I might be wrong.
when you're that small and that young, they can throw any name on you. That's stick.
Right. Yeah, those are all our brothers, even still to this day. We have a special bond. I mean, obviously with me and Jamal being extremely close as far as friendship and brotherhood, not only about basketball, just in life, period. Our kids are being raised together. You know what I'm saying? So he hasn't allowed the NBA to change who he is. And so I think that that's really huge for him to come back like he does to his high school. There's not a lot of NBA players that do that, man. I'll be honest with you, that just spend time, or the kids have their phone number, whatever he can do to help plant a seed to help them grow. And it's just, I look at it as in being a coach, that's from a different perspective. But for somebody to take time of when they do come home from All-Star breaks, spending time with the Rainier Beach kids and just kids in general, not only Rainier Beach, but it's priceless and it's precious too. And I tell them never to take that for granted, because everybody don't have those opportunities, man.
Jamal is so normal being around him that you can almost take that for granted, and just it gets so normal so quickly. But then you look on Twitter, you hear these stories like, oh, Michael Jordan having all this, praise for him. And then I'm watching this Michael Jordan preview, the documentary, and it's like, man, if you can't play with Michael Jordan, the pressure of playing with Michael Jordan, Jamal's doing it in the summertime. It's just, you forget. It's weird.
Yeah.
No, and you know what, Jeremy, to add to that, sometimes I forget, to be honest with you. Like, that's one of the things my wife hates, is when I just float down streets, because I do it a lot. Like, I'll just float down streets, drive down streets, pop up on random streets. And she's like, you cannot do that. Like, you just can't do that. And that's probably one of the things that irks her most about me, I guess, is that I kind of just float sometimes. And I feel like I'm still that kid in high school before I play the game or whatever. So I can just go and, come and go as I please. But that part kind of bothers me.
But man, you set the tone. You have so many people you're a role model to that look at that. And if you don't get a big head, how's anybody else going to get a big head? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah. Thank you.
The first thoughts I had looking at this game, I just have to, since you're both right here, I was watching this late last night, loving it. The first time I'm seeing you play, Dave King, my breakdown, quick, nimble feet. You had some fluid, methodical post moves. This is just the first quarter. Fundamental on defense. You had the right hand here, the left hand here, ready for anything. You were just a dominating frame that you knew how to use too. Not only to box out, but get in position to score. Is that anywhere on the money, Jamal?
I think you're right on the money. I think he could do all those things, and just to add, just the best hands ever. Like I could literally throw it, and I think that's why I kind of hone my skill as far as passing off the dribble. So I do a move, boom, boom, and just throw it with one hand. And like when you're younger, you're not supposed to do that. It's supposed to be like unfundamental. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to be a normal pass, whatever. But he kind of helped me hone my skills as far as going off the dribble and just throwing it any kind of way. That's kind of something pros do. Basically, Steph Curry doing now, or Steve Nash, and guys like that. And I was doing it then because of him. Like, he could catch like that. I never played with anybody who could catch like that. So, yeah, his hands were just incredible.
And Dave, how did you get those hands? What were you doing? Was it natural? I want to ask you about your footwork too.
Well, I'll be honest with you. One of the things I patterned myself after, like, is being an undersized big in this common world of what they say now, is just I did a lot of stuff with Akeem Olajuwon as far as footwork, watching what he did, studied the game, his footwork, and I dribbled tennis balls a lot of times and catching them in my hand, bouncing them on the ground, catching them with one hand or tossing them up in the air. Nobody ever really knew that because I never told anybody, but it was just something that I wanted to always be able to have a grip on the ball and really not lose it. So it's just one of the things that I did. And, I was very fortunate enough to play with teammates, honestly, like Jamal, to be able to help put me in position to make the game easy on offense. Because really my thing was I didn't want anybody to score on me. So that you and your friends talk about when you're getting scored on and you read the paper, because the big back then was the Seattle Times and the PI. So we would look at, the PI or the Seattle Times and see what happened defensively. And that was really our focus. I mean, we knew we could score, but if we could stop somebody defensively, then we know we were getting better. So that was definitely an important thing.
And the footwork, was it, did it just take the practice of seeing Hakeem doing it and understanding that? Or was it, were you playing soccer? Because you were so quick on your feet and it was so natural, and the movements, it may look like this little thing that you're doing, but you're creating space and there's no wasted movement, and it's getting you buckets,
funny.
Obviously.
It's hard for me to really answer that because I was more so, I didn't want to obviously get my shot blocked, so I wasn't jumping extremely high. So I had to find a way to create space with my body and be able to make a move so the defense is thrown off balance every time. I really liked Robert Traylor as well, that played in Michigan back then. That's where I picked number 54 that year.
That's one of my questions. That's hilarious.
Like tractor trailer, he had a wide body, pretty good footwork, except for he could jump a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So it's just some different things that I pattern my game after, that I can be able to get a shot off and scoring anybody one-on-one. Like if Jamal threw it in, he was guaranteed to be a bucket. Unless they double team or foul me, then I can kick out. So definitely took pride in that.
I love the quality looks too. He would get it into you, and before you knew it, you'd have a quality, turn around, a hook, something. It was quick and it was quality. And so the first quarter, you guys were off and running. You're killing it in the post. Phil Heath is out hitting the long ball. At times, it was tough looking in the first quarter. It was 7-7 at the end of the first. Can you just describe that feeling of being in the state championship game? Maybe Dave, if you can go first.
To be honest with you, it's almost like we weren't there, because the game before Mount Vernon, and this is a true story, Jamal and Ricky Frazier led us. I was in foul trouble. I didn't score 1 point, and I believe I had 3 rebounds. And it wasn't from a lack of just being shut down. It just wasn't my night. But what I was the biggest cheerleader and the biggest coach from the bench to cheer my teammates on. So it took so much energy out of us. That's the first time I ever saw Jamal emotional ever. We played together. He was like even keel all the time. But that game against Mount Vernon, it did something to him. So we knew once we got past them, we were going to win state. Matter of fact, not being cocky, not being disrespectful to Olympia, but we honestly should have blew them out if we weren't playing around with the ball. Honestly, that should have been a blowout in the state championship.
That was partly my fault, Jeremy. I have to take credit for that. I kind of set the tone. If you watch that game, and me and Dave talked about it, that was probably one of my worst shooting games, to be honest with you. Because I was so excited. I was like, I just want to put on the show now. Now I know we're up. Like, I want to put on the show. And there was, going back watching, there were so many shots. I should have just pumped the brakes a little bit and got some good quality looks, and we could have really blew it open. Because we were up 17 in the middle of the third quarter, and I think we went into the fourth quarter up 8 or 10, right? And then it became a game and a dogfight again. But that 17 could have easily went to 25, you know?
Absolutely.
It was just one of those things, but I guess in the end it made it more dramatic the way we played and came back and won. Because they took the lead for, 7 seconds late in the last 3 minutes of the game.
It got really, really, really close.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the balance of your game, though, because the thing is you can overtake shots, or you can maybe take shots that shouldn't be taken, because sometimes you're hitting those shots, and sometimes that, as you see, I don't remember if it was in the second or the third quarter, but you hit a tough shot and then boom, you were off and running. Once you found that, you were like, all right, let's go.
Yeah. And it was something, because I don't know if you saw it on the broadcast, if they talked about it, but it was and I think to this day, it's the most attended state tournament ever. I think it was almost 60,000 people. I think second is when Michael Porter won the championship, and Nathan Hill, I think they had 30,000. So
wow,
there was a lot of people that came and watched on that span.
Man,
absolutely.
Yeah, end of the first, game's tied at 7. Olympia, from just what I could see, this wasn't their best game, but they did look like a quality team early, kind of skilled, really working together well. Here's another note on Dave King. Not only did Dave King have the footwork and size to get in position for the shot, but he was also quickly able to get up that quality look. How do you do that? Because I see so many times, even in the NBA, guys, they rush to get the shot because they need to, but then it throws everything else off.
Yeah, I think personally with Dave and myself, I think we both had a special feel for the game, even at a younger age. So the feel and the IQ, I told Dave this yesterday, I was like, there was no way we were going to lose. And if you go back and look, like there was like 6 teams who had a legitimate chance to win the championship. Mercer Island won 97 and 99, so they could have won. Mount Vernon had 7 guys 6'5" or taller who would beat the semis. They could have won. Olympia beat Mercer Island. They could have won. O'Day had just went 29-0 the year before and won the championship in 2A with Doug Grant, right? Who was the best player I played against in high school. And I think there's one more team. Who am I missing, Dave, who was really good that had a chance to really win?
Who was it? I can't think of it off the top of my head.
We finished first. We beat teams 2 through 7. So we beat O'Day, Mercer Island, Olympia, Mount Vernon.
Tumwater.
Moses Lake.
Lake, we beat them.
Yeah,
I don't think they were in the top, but yeah, we beat them too.
Yeah, I think they finished like 6 or 7. So for us to finish first and beat teams 2 through 7 at some point during the season, we went through everybody.
Right. Pretty much we took the mentality, Jeremy, that line them up. We were already considered as the underdog. I mean, Crawford was definitely the new kid on the block, but nobody thought that, Rainier Beach has an actual shot at winning the state championship. They see a kid that's flashy and that can wow the crowd, but what they didn't realize is that was just who he was, though. It wasn't an act or a gimmick. That's who he was. He was playing every play to make you pay every single time. And that was his mentality. Like, everybody sees Jamal as a nice guy, which he is, a brilliant, great person. But I'm talking about on the court is different. In between the lines, his competitive nature is hard to be matched. And if you get to talking to him, it's pretty much over.
It's on.
And we thrived off of that, because when he said we're not losing, I was like, you already know how I feel. So if you miss, I'm going to get the rebound, period. And that I never had a problem with him shooting, ever.
Man, and you did.
Yeah.
You caught all those, those misses off the long ball. You were in position, and that's a skill.
My misses was helping his rebound stats.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Man, he got you the MVP now.
He did get the MVP.
So what do you remember about going in at halftime, 24-13? Was it like, all right, let's keep this thing going? What was Coach Bethea saying?
Do you remember, Paul?
Blow it open. Like, the thing with Coach Mike, and that's what I really respect about him, is he never wants to take his foot off the gas. Like, he never feel like enough is enough, because he's been in the game long enough where he's been up, I'm sure, games 10 with 3 minutes to go and lost that game. So he's like, enough is not enough. Let's keep going. Like, this is a good team. They're going to make a run. We got to step on the gas. And that's when we went up 17. And that's when, we should have went up 25 or 20 plus, and it didn't happen. But we went storm, and I think we showed a lot of heart because, we were up 17 to down 1, 7 minutes span, right? And we didn't fold.
I promise you, in the huddles, it was never a sense of nervousness. We were all connected together. I mean,
it was no finger.
I remember in timeouts, like Maul said, I'm going to take the ball out of bounds. I'm going to pass it to this person. It could have easily been, you guys take the ball out, give the ball to me. I'm going to go win it. That wasn't his approach. He was about making the right play at the right time all the time. And people like Philip Heath that sacrificed defensively, he got his head split open.
That was
he got
nasty.
stitches on the bench.
Yeah, he did.
Stitches on the bench and still came back in to finish the game. So it's like we gave everything to Rainier Beach in order to win that. Everything that was within us.
We were so connected, though. Like, if you saw, one of us or two of us going to get something, you saw 8 of us going to get something.
Yep.
We were so connected. And you got to remember, this is a time before social media. So you have parents or, people on the outside, oh, this guy's getting a lot of attention or, whatever. And as a kid, I understand it looking back as a kid, that can weigh on you. Oh, I'm not going to give him the ball. I'm not going to be part of the team because it's all about him or it's all about them. Right. So, but it was never that.
Man, the thing about basketball is it's not about basketball. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
No, I was going to say that, but the biggest thing about that, Jeremy, and I don't want anybody to miss this point that sees this podcast, that is all true what Jamal said. People hating on the person that's getting so-called the glory in the paper. But you got to, if you look at every article, and Jamal has a scrapbook there, the first thing Jamal did was praise his teammates every single time for being able to put him in position, and the coaches. And nobody took it personal because we were solely about winning. Yeah. Our practices were harder than the games to us, a lot of the games.
Yeah, they sure were. We went at it in practice. Like, it's crazy. Like, I told Davis too, like, watching some previews of The Last Dance, like, talking about the Bulls and how connected they were. And I saw Jordan say, like, his practices were harder than the games. The games were easy. That was us. The games were like, well, we could really show out and have fun because we did all the hard work in practice. Like, we knew we went at each other. So we were like, oh, okay, well, no problem. We'll be fine. The games are when we could show out for all the work we did.
Right. And if you think about it, Jeremy, this is a team that was one game away from making it to state, and then up until Christmas time, we were undefeated. We didn't practice. Coach Mike gave us a week off. We were up on Seattle Prep. Nobody ever talks about this, but I remember this, and I know it bothers Jamal too.
We're
up in Seattle Prep by 20
at the half.
And we're just coasting. And all of a sudden, somehow they pull it off. We said then we didn't have the plans on losing anymore. Yeah. And we went on a streak that was like, 16 straight, 17 straight?
Yeah, we lost one other game the whole year. In that game, the whole day, we had beat them twice. Right. We beat them in the regular season, city championship, and that was for the district.
Right.
That was mainly for seeding for state. And we lost that game, but we were like, okay, we'll see them again. We're not worried. So we went 27-2 for the whole year. And then one of the two losses, we were up 20. And the other loss, we were like, yeah, it's okay. We played you 3 times now. We'll see you when it really counts.
You see that with talented teams, though, that you can almost get content. But then you look at this game, Matt DeBoer hits one of the smoothest turnaround clutch jumpers at the end of the third. Momentum is starting to go to their side. I think, as far as I'm concerned in basketball, I can feel that watching, the momentum. You're like, okay, I'm starting to notice they're missing shots, they're making shots, things are moving in a certain direction. But you guys said that didn't make you nervous. That wasn't, and I was nervous watching it, and I know you guys won.
Yeah. I never felt nervous at all during the game. I was more excited, and I think that's why I didn't shoot as well. I was excited. All these people here, this is a game we talked about since the summer. Like, I'm just excited. So I was never nervous. Even when we went down one, if you go back and watch, I went 1-on-4 to get a float, right? It's like I was never nervous. And that was the last real basket of the game. And then Dave hit free throws the rest of the way. And I think he scored and hit free throws, and that was it. He started the game scoring the first points, and he ended the game scoring the last points.
For a lay-in. They don't have time to go coast to coast for a lay-in tonight should he miss the free throws.
Well, you can actually go
get a shot up.
You can go in under 4 seconds, but you can't go all the way. You're exactly right.
3-point. Rainier Beach League. They don't want to go all the way now because they need the 3-pointer to tie it if King misses.
I'll tell you what, he's cool as a cucumber.
Ball game. And King with the steal. And Rainier Beach with the 1998 Class 3A state championship.
And getting the steal.
And they got the steal.
Yes.
Yeah, they got the steal. Yeah. And then the interview was the best part. Saying he's going to Disneyland. We weren't even going to Jack in the Box.
Well, the big man's alive. I know he is because he's with John Horton right now. John?
We are here with the big man with a big couple of free throws. Mr. King, that was clutch. Man, we believe in God, man. We thank him. We appreciate him all year, man. Play smart, play hard, have fun. We listen to what our coach said. We didn't lose our composure, and we won, baby. I'm so happy. I love all my teammates. This is my senior year. We've been playing together since South Shore, man, and we finally got the W, man. 10th year anniversary for Rainier Beach. Watch out for it for years and years to come. You all were told that it was supposed to be Mercer Island. It was supposed to be O'Day. Supposed to be everybody else, and you proved it. We proved it, man. I mean, we just do what our coaches tell us. Play smart, play hard, and have fun. And we make the game fun tonight. You're the big man. You come up with a big bucket. Congratulations. You're the state champion. Yes. I'm going to Disneyland, baby. Back to you, Tom.
Well, when you watch the Super Bowl back then, when the Super Bowl champions or the NBA, they said, you're the NBA champion or the Super Bowl champion, what you're going to do next? It was in the moment. So, wanted to thrill the crowd. Wanted to thrill the crowd.
And you did, even years later.
Man, it's truly a blessing. But just to kind of elaborate on that, I wasn't nervous because we had Jamal. I'm going to be honest with you. We didn't fear anybody. It was like, okay, whoever we play, line them up. And again, we believed that much in our teammates. Phillip was going to stick whoever their best offensive player was. Jamal was going to take one of the bigs. I was going to take one of the bigs. Tim was going to lock up somebody. Mateo was going to lock up somebody. And we went. Yeah. That was the goal.
Yeah, that was absolutely the goal. And we were going to do whatever was needed. And whenever there was any type of little dust up or any type of a teammate getting out of line or maybe not feeling like they were getting some praise, whatever. Dave, myself, and Phil nipped everything in the bud. We had great leadership. So Coach Mike didn't worry about that stuff. All he had to do was coach. Like, we were going to handle everything else between us three. We're the three captains, by the way.
Mm.
Yep.
Wow.
And we're always on the same page. It wasn't one time where us three weren't on the same page. And could call each other out. Without you know what I mean? We'd call each other out. Dave, you're not bringing it. Maul, you're not bringing it right now. Phil, you got to lock up or whatever, whatever it might have been.
Right.
And that makes me think about the purity of sports is that honesty that you can have with your teammates because you've been through tough times. You've been through those tough practices. You've really not wanted to run. You've all those things, but you did it together. And then you're building equity almost with each other.
Absolutely.
But it was a great game. Just like Jamal alluded to, there was some fouling late in the game. People had to hit some clutch free throws, and who goes to the line at the very end to end everything? Mr. Dave King sinks both of his, gets the steal, game over. And man, that interview was perfect. Knowing you now, you sound almost the same, but then I see your kids in you a little bit too.
Siobhan said the same thing.
Yeah,
Jamal said the same thing.
It's kind of eerie in a good way. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I try to even now with with raising my boys, and I know Jamal can attest to this, one of the things of why the Pro-Am is so important to both of us is that when he played in the Pro-Am, I kept the stats for the Pro-Am. So I was watching it really up close to seeing the different NBA players like Sean Kemp and Damon Stoudemire and all those people that played professionally overseas, and then to see my high school teammate, which was the only high school player, if I'm not mistaken, that they let play in it because they didn't let high school players play. So what Jamal is doing is kind of different with it, with the respin on it. They didn't let high school players. This was strictly for pros.
Yeah, Doug did play, Dave. That was the only person Doug played.
Oh, yeah, Doug Wren. Okay.
Yeah, but no, you're right. It was no high schoolers other than that.
Yeah. So, and then with Jamal and Doug being the two best high school players in our state that year anyway, that made sense. But I watched Jamal really, really, because I was with him everywhere we went to hoop. He took it so serious, Jeremy. It was like you knew he was going to the NBA because all he ever wanted to do was play basketball. Like, really didn't play video games. We went to go eat every now and then, but it was really all about every day after school. We used to go to UW and play with the UW players every day.
Every day.
It's like, so I knew there was something different about him with his passion for the game. So that's why it didn't worry me at all when we found times when we were down because we were going to find a way to win. So, and very appreciative of that too, because that's something they can't take away in 98, that we are the state champions. And 22 years later, we can still remember it like it was yesterday on what we've done, what we have accomplished. And look at Rainier Beach as a program now. It has just blossomed from the pioneers that helped pave the way.
And that's you two. That is you two right there, starting it. Jamal, being the godfather. Dave, you being there in the trenches with these guys, being in the assistant coach. That's huge in building the culture. And I don't have to tell you how many people that positively affects. I think you know that, but it shouldn't go unnoticed is all I want to say there.
I appreciate that, man. It means a lot because honestly, like Maul always says, Dave, we don't do it for the glory or the fame. We do it to really help make a difference in these kids. And if you knew some of the things, Jeremy, what Jamal is dropping nuggets and gems on these young men, it would make you cry because you're so is passionate and you're happy because it's just giving these young men another opportunity or a swing at bat in life that they can make a difference in their lives. That's what's important. Being able to help these young men.
And I think I get a lot of, praise for doing that stuff, but Dave is even more important because he's right there with them every single day. So they, I'm almost a figure. Like I'm around a lot, but to hear from Dave every single day and know that he truly cares about them and what they go through. And, he's like a father, another father for some of these kids. Some of these kids don't have a father in the house. So, it's just so important. And I think he definitely deserves a lot of credit for that, for sure.
And that's love and respect, man. It's love and respect. Like I said, Coach Mike did it for me and Jamal. I grew up without a dad. He was a father figure to Jamal too. So it's just like all we're really is just giving back, man. And now that I have kids, I see the importance, and I know Jamal does as well, especially with having sons. It's just that how much of a difference it make with you being in your kid's life versus not having one. So I take parenting extremely serious.
When did you decide you wanted to get into coaching?
Well, it's funny. Gary Ladd Jr., which is somebody I consider as a big brother to me, had told me, I think he was doing something working with the girls team back then. It was 2005, which was Terrence Williams' senior year in high school. And he said, man, Coach Mike needs some alumni to come down there and help him with the program. And he said, man, Dave, do you think you'd be interested? And I had thought about coaching, but I was kind of away from the program, then trying to kind of find myself as an adult. You know what I'm saying? And I decided to I reached out to Coach Mike and contacted him and told him that I want to come down and start coaching with him. He was so excited. You know what I'm saying? He was like, whoa, are you serious? Said, you always been a coach as a player, but yeah, come get your feet wet. And man, since 2005 to 2020, man, I've been down at Rainier Beach every year trying to help make a difference, man.
That's how that started? I never knew that.
That's how that started.
Wow. You said you were always a coach as a player, but what naturally were you good at?
I'm a people person, and I think that Jamal could kind of give you an example to attest of it, because I don't really like to talk about myself a whole lot, but I can be in a room and light up the room with, regardless of what personalities are in there, can befriend with anybody, and have a good time. I just enjoy life. I kind of have a lot of similarities to my favorite basketball player of all time, which is the jersey back to your right, instead of right of you. It's my favorite basketball player.
Yeah, you can see that.
Yeah, so I got a lot of big kid in me too. So
Shaquille O'Neal,
man, you were a force just like him, though, man. It was just like, yes, you were big, and that's like that frame made you good, but the footwork, the feet work. I'm telling you, man.
It was definitely a blessing, man. One thing I will say, man, and I don't ever regret it, because I know I used to talk to Jamal about it. Man, if I was 6'10" or 6'11", I would probably be retiring from the NBA. But he said, guess what, Dave? You wouldn't have been able to help all those kids that you helped. Yeah. So it gives me a sense of humility, and reality does set in that God just had a different path for me. You know what I'm saying? So I've learned to embrace that versus feeling like I should have been somewhere else basketball wise, but that wasn't God's plan for me. So
I'm sure you have a lot to be proud of as far as impact you've made on the kids' lives that have come through Rainier Beach. But when I mention that, what comes to mind for you?
Just as far as, I look at it like, so just to put some names in perspective, I was really hands-on with DeJounte Murray. I was really hands-on with Kevin Porter, really hands-on with Sam Cunliffe, Khalil Shabazz, a lot of these kids, Mike Ladd, which is now a coach as well, Reggie Moore, Devon Pickett, just a lot of kids being able to be hands-on with to help them in their path for whatever decision that they make. DeJuan Piper, Naeem Ladd. The whole thing is for these young men to be able to get to college and to get college paid for, because the parents didn't have any money directly to pay that type of money. So to take the pressure off the parents and the young man is to, try to help as much as I can to lead them in the right path to get a scholarship so school can be taken care of for their endeavors. And NBA is icing on the cake, but for that, any kid that can go to school and have their college paid for, I feel like I'm successful as a coach with that happening.
Jamal, from your perspective?
Yeah, I think I used to think when I was a kid, playing in the NBA and accomplishing a dream was like the coolest thing ever, right? Like, you're like, okay, this is like the highest level. You dreamed about this since you were a kid. But once I got here, I realized that the coolest part was being able to have a positive effect on young kids and kind of help guide their journey and give them a foundation for what they want to do. And like Dave said, it's not always about you making to the NBA or NFL or sports, period. That doesn't mean you don't have to give into that and not be successful in life because you didn't make it to a certain level. And I think, kids really, they still want to chase their hoop dreams and their dreams they have, and they should, but they should also know there's more to the world than sports, and there's more in life you can do to be successful. And I think that part really resonates with
them. Kind of thinking about when you were playing and now when you're coaching, Dave, what are the advantages to playing today?
One of the advantages now is really social media. So when me and Jamal were in high school, Jamal would be in the library breaks where he's trying to download a video from Allen Iverson's highlights last night from SportsCenter, which took 45 minutes to an hour. I don't think I'm exaggerating.
It took so long.
So the kids now have Washington State as a whole is on the map as far as basketball does go. So that's a plus because there's so many pioneers that have paved the way for them to know that we can actually play up here. And then social media just takes it to another level because the kids have trainers now. Not only trainers, but they have parents that have involvement and family members. They got AAUs at an all-time high, and plus their high school. So they got to have so many different avenues in the way they can get their game seen.
Does there come with any negatives to that? also. That's a huge positives, but I'm sure that there's a
with
different side.
With every positive, there anybody can create a narrative of negativity. Oh, he's not really that good. That's just a video that they put out there where he did well. Or why is that person getting all the hype? The coaches just like him better. I mean, you can create whatever narrative that you want to, but for anybody in Washington State not to be happy for any of our kids to be able to go to college at whatever level, that's just not good for the culture. It doesn't matter if they go to Rainier Beach, in any school of our Washington kids. Like, we're proud of Zach LaVine. He went to Bothell High School. You know what I'm saying? So any of the kids, wherever they're from, and they're from Washington, we want them to make it, and we want them to succeed.
Absolutely.
What does the future of Rainier Beach basketball look like?
If you notice in my interview, I said, watch out for Rainier Beach to be good for many years and years to come. That many years to come is currently right now. It's happening. So, I mean, it's a world-renowned, recognized school, and I don't think the tradition ever stops. And like, again, I said, the goal is definitely to be competitive, and everybody loves to win championships, but for kids to be able to go to college, again, that's the key.
Another thing you have your hand in is the CrawsOver. We talked about that a little bit. Just from your perspective, what makes that so special? What goes into making that so special?
Hard work, perseverance, providing a platform and an atmosphere for our community to watch basketball at a higher level than per se being able to just only watch UW or high school basketball or SPU or any of the local colleges here, but from a professional level of being able to get basketball every weekend and it's free. That's really unheard of. A lot of states don't have that option. So we try to put together a platform, for one, with professionalism, because not only is it representing Jamal and that's what he stands for, but we want to know that our community know that we want to do right by them and be able to provide a product that is kid friendly, that is grandparent friendly, that is whatever age group you want to bring, they can come and have a good time for 8 hours a day if they chose to, every Saturday and Sunday for the month of July. That's really what we try to provide. We try to provide NBA players from different cities and states to come and see why Jamal talks about Seattle so much, and everyone that's came has felt a certain type of way about how the fans are and how that atmosphere is when they play in those games.
And you still give back to the high schools in this. I don't know if it was just this last year, the last 2 years, now that there's been a lot more high school players playing that first game.
I give a lot of credit. He doesn't like to take it, but that's one of the things that Jamal's creativity of not only with the high school, but his son's age, my son's age, to give all platforms the opportunity to play in the same court as a professional, to know that they have something to look forward to. And if they dot their I's, cross their T's, and like Cole Hogan says, eat your vitamin and say your prayers, that this too can happen to you as well.
It's very true. It's very true. Jamal?
For me, I think, especially with us, as I see your Sonic sweatshirt, we were able to, and I like that, we were able to have them attend our games. Like Gary Payton and Sean Kemp was coming to our games. This is like the Glove and Rain Man, in their prime, and what that meant to us. To be able to play and perform in front of those pros, it made our dreams a little more realistic. Like, we can reach out and touch it. We can reach out and check on these guys and talk to these guys. And for us not having the Sonics right now, the Pro-Am is the closest you have to seeing professional basketball. Obviously you have, like you said, UW and top high schoolers. You could drive down to Portland a few hours to go watch a game, and you could watch on SportsCenter or play 2K. But to see, a Blake Griffin or Kobe Bryant or Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, LaMarcus Aldridge, Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine, Isaiah, DeJounte, all these
Smith
guys.
Jr.
Dennis Smith, Nate Robinson,
Paul George.
Yeah, exactly. We're still going to miss people.
Tyreek Evans.
Yeah.
Kyrie, Uncle Drew, like to see all these wonderful guys and wonderful players that you see on TV be able to come right there and you can come out and touch them for free, right? Some of your favorite players ever. I think it's just a blessing. I think it's a blessing to our community. And it's especially important as of now because we don't have the Sonics. So until we get that back, we got to kind of help fill this void a little bit.
It's so important. It's I was just a fan, and I can tell you as a fan that it's unlike even going to an NBA game because you're in a small gym. Like that night that Kyrie was there, the environment, I don't think you can get that, or you very rarely get that in an NBA gym.
Yeah.
Where that place was, you could feel it moving every time he was wooing.
And you think about the game, the Midnight Madness game, you think about the Drew League game. That's why you don't want to move it to a bigger venue. I looked at it like an artist, right? Let's say an artist, of course they do the stadium performances and stuff, but when they can get there like an unplugged type version, right, where it's really stripped down, you see them in an intimate setting, I think it makes it that much more special, And so for us, I wanted to have that basketball in an intimate setting where fans are right there on top of you. They feel like they're a part. It's just like a high school type vibe, right? Yeah, and that's what makes it really cool.
And if I can add something to it, one of the things I will say this, Jeremy, is that Jamal has a team that we work with together, and it's not only him dictating everything that goes on. He listens to me. He listens to the staff. If we have an idea that can make the Pro-Am better, he's not too big or just says, this is my Pro-Am, but he's like, Dave, I got you. So let's make it happen. It's on you. And we got to deliver. You know what I'm saying? It's like last year, there were some things I shared with him, and he did it, and it worked out for the best of the Pro-Am. So
yeah, he did. I gotta tell the backstory that Jeremy. We had a few guys come and we had like really good momentum. He's like, okay, now we need 2 pros the same day. I'm like, Dave, hold on. These pros are busy. Like, this is not just gonna. If we get one every 2 weeks, we're good. He's like, no, we need 2 in the same day. So that's when the Dennis Smith Jr., Aaron Gordon, that was his idea.
Wow. But that was a legendary day. Not that not that every week isn't good, and I think that's how the Pro-Am has grown, is that it is week to week very good, but that was a special day.
Absolutely. And I mean, think about it. When you have Pro-Ams making Sports Center, right? Like the Pro-Am is it's on a video game. Like that's what Doug Christie talking to him when he came and just seeing how far myself and Dave and Bess and how far we've kind of taken it. He didn't even think of the Pro-Am when he was doing it being on a video game. Like, so he's like, man, like just watching it grow, he just sat back like just really proud, and that makes us feel good.
Absolutely.
He's kind of started it for us,
Right. And I'll add this too, when you can have one of the things that was just brilliant in the fact of being able to get it sanctioned to where college players can play, it just adds more flavor to it because you got a chance to see Jaden McDaniels and Isaiah Stewart and the different UW players that actually came out and played hard in it, the David Crisp and the Matisse Thybulle, where before going into Matisse's senior year, he played on the team with Jamal, with Coach Mike coaching him, and Coach Mike coaches hard every time.
And it gave him a lot of confidence to watch.
Right.
That part gets credit to Coach Conroy. He said, "Hey, you need to get sanctioned. Why not have it a melting pot where it's not, just the high school or a couple high schoolers, the pros playing, like you want everybody playing." And that was a great idea. It became a hit for sure.
Shout out to Coach Will Conroy for that idea too, because it makes it even more competitive. It's a brilliant thing. You have a weekend where you have Isaiah Stewart, which is a top 5 player in the country, Jaden McDaniels, top 5 player in the country, and they're playing against a team with Zach LaVine and Suki Wiggs and different people like that. It's just it's unbelievable. Just the atmosphere that everybody wants to see, or CJ Ellaby that played well at Wazoo last year is coming down this weekend to play. It's a huge deal.
It's a huge deal for sure.
The Matisse thing is so funny to watch him play in the NBA now because he was just the guy at the Pro-Am for all those years. I'm just like, that's crazy. He was the guy that was running Jamal's team because you were empowering him a lot. You were not, just being Jamal, scoring, doing what you can undo, but you were like, all right, I want you to do this. I want you to lead this. Yeah. Now it's crazy to see him doing it in the league.
Yeah, and that's like you said, that's one of the cool things. Because okay, if I go score 50 or 60 or 70 or whatever, like okay, what's the fun in that? But to see him take the confidence that he had in the pro-am and take it to a Pac-12 game and say, you know what, I'm gonna go through stretches. I missed 3 shots in a row. I can make 3 in a row too. You know what I mean? And hear him say that. And he actually, it was a post. He actually thanked me when he first got drafted. It was a long post he had, and I was shocked my name was in there because I didn't know the stuff I was telling him the whole summer was really resonating with him to that degree, where it gave him a certain level of confidence. And you know, those type of stories make you feel good for sure.
Absolutely. And I'll add this though. My sons anticipated like it's going to a big time birthday party every weekend.
Mine too.
It's like, Dad, we get to hang out with JJ and they're actually all over that gym. You know what I'm saying? Where they get to take pictures with the NBA players, but then they're actually watching the game. And it's just a great atmosphere that you get to spend your Saturday. And I'm a gym rat. Jamal's a gym rat. We love being in the gym. Like we sometimes get caught up going to Rainier Beach just to shoot, and we'll end up there like it's 8 o'clock at night. We're like, man, we should have been home. Both of our wives are calling. What are you guys doing? You know what I'm saying? It's just it's a part of us, and I can't. I'm addicted to the game. I'll be honest with you. I'm addicted
to this day.
Yes,
yeah, we absolutely are. No doubt about it.
And I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I do want to talk to DeJounte Murray a little bit because you mentioned him as one of the people you've worked closely with, from where you saw him when you were younger to what he is now. What was that journey like for you, seeing that? And it's kind of, what can you share?
I mean, I would say this is a kid that found his niche and he was determined into making it the life that he wanted to live. And he chose basketball over everything. And that's how he played. He played with an agenda where every single game he played so hard, he had nothing left after every game. And that's all you can ask for as a coach. Like, he really sacrificed everything. There was no high school prom. There was no dances. There was, I'm going to a gym. If it's not Rainier Beach, I'm going to another gym that's open to work on my game. And it just kind of, one of the things I will say is when I told Jamal, when DeJounte first came to Rainier Beach going into his sophomore year, here's a kid that has a chance to make it, Mo. I need you to take him under your wings. And Jamal did that. So
that's exactly what he said. And seeing him early, he had that look in his eye. Like he was so curious to everything. Like he was, you could tell he would be one of the ones that was so focused on whatever you told him, he was going to do it, or at least attempt to do it, because he wanted to make it that bad. His focus alone, kept him on the path of getting there. He really took to heart what you said. If you told him something, okay, I got you. And he would lock in and do it. And you could tell he was different early just off his focus. And I'm not even talking about his talent. That's a whole other thing. But just the focus he had before that, you could see it early. Like, this kid's really grasping what I'm saying. He wanted it. And kudos to him.
Absolutely. And like hard work and dedication in what he did, and it paid out in the end for him, because he gave everything and he sacrificed everything for the game. And now he's at where he's at.
Yeah.
And I'm a proud coach. You know what I'm saying? To say that I helped that young man with his journey. I watched him go through trials and tribulations, but he overcame the adversity and he did what he wanted to do. And he's now a starting point guard on the NBA team. So,
and not just any NBA team, like he's in position to be, him and Tony Parker are different players, but embraced by the fans like Tony Parker, be that point guard for 10, 15 years. So
absolutely.
It's amazing to think about the talent that's come through. Obviously, it's in the NBA, but the people that are young now, you mentioned Kevin Porter Jr., we mentioned Matisse, DeJounte, so many young names that have seen at the crossover. We could take it back to that if you want to.
And all arrows honestly point back, and I can go a step further, and again, he doesn't really like it, but all arrows point back to Jamal being the blueprint for the community. Like, and I'll say this just to make it plain, like, there's never been a player like him that has given so much back to where all the kids have his phone number, or he follows the different kids on Twitter to give them encouragement. It doesn't matter. He wants to see everybody make it. It's not just about him. He always tells me, Dave, it's not about that. It's not about me. It's about them. And sometimes I'm like, man, sometimes you got to be a little bit selfish. He's like, no. He said, God helped me with my path. Doug Christie did that for me. Gary Payton did that for me. Right. Iverson did that for me. Jordan did it for me. Now I'm just paying it. I'm paying it forward. I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense because you think about it, man. If a 6'6", 190 pounds, I don't know if I'm give or taking some, to play in the NBA for 19 years already, and he gets to decide if he's done or not. That's something on him. But to play 19 years and you're adored by all the iconic figures that you grew up role modeling yourself after, that's a huge accomplishment, man. So what he does is just give back to the kids from his own home state. But not only that, because there's college players and players all over this country that adore Jamal Crawford, that's their favorite player. And he'll talk to them on Twitter. So it's just like he's your favorite player's favorite player. So to be able to do different things with him and call him my brother and one of my dearest and closest friends, we're not even friends, we're brothers, but to just deal with him on a daily basis and watch how he moves, it's second to none. Because some people are one way in front of a camera and then they're other way when the camera's not around. I can honestly say, and I'm sure since you meeting him too, Jeremy, he's the same even keel no matter what.
Since day one, yep.
Yep.
I'm like, to follow up Dave's point, like everything he said about me, I can honestly say about him. Like we're the same. I think that's why we're so close after all these years, right? It's like we see things the exact same way. It's funny. It could be something as small as I send him 25 players. I'm like, all right, give me a starting lineup out these 25, and we'll have the exact same 5 players I'm talking about. You know what I mean? So just like something that small, he's a role model in the community. Everybody knows Big Dave, and they all love him from the standpoint of how he treats them. Not only the beach kids, not only this group of kids or whatever, he treats every single person the same way. So he has so much love in the city and in the community that people root for him regardless if they're rivals, if they're different high schools, whatever. It's past that. And Jeremy, I'm proud of you, to be honest with you, is like, you know, your journey, right? Just coming to the crossover and coming to the program. I was thinking about this the other day. I'm like, dang, Jeremy's literally interviewed so many people.
Right.
Like, and it's so cool for you to have this platform. You know what I mean? Like, and just think about it, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it wasn't like that. So for you to have this platform and use it for good and continue to grow, and you're going to view so many more people. Like, that's so dope for me to sit back and watch that and watch your interviews. I watch interviews you do with people. I'm like, dang, like Jeremy really is killing it. And that's so, like, that's a humbling thing. It's so cool. And I'm proud of you.
That's, I almost have to take myself out of it for a second to just, you know, it wouldn't be possible without obviously Jamal, but also Dave. It was weird when me and my brother started coming to the crossover and started interviewing people and stuff, because it was almost like, well, what is up here? Why is everyone treating us so well? And it was Dave, you know, if you've met him, just big smile, respectful, shakes your hand, just makes you feel at home. And I didn't know him. You guys didn't have to do that, obviously, but the things you've done for other people, you've done for me, and it's just awesome. But it's not about me at all by any means. Just kind of thinking back to your high school days, I kind of cut that off a little bit. Is there anything else you want to say to wrap that? Any memories that you have that stick out, or any final words on that?
I don't know. I can go first in that, man. Like I said, I tell my kids about it because they really didn't believe it. It's like, oh, you and Uncle Maul were really good like that? And I'm like, Uncle Maul was really good like that. So I kind of leave myself out of it too. But when they watch, it's like, Dad, you were the player of the game. Like, you can do all that? Because I kind of try to make it about them. So Jamal told me, and I'll let him share his story, that he showed his son, my nephew, the game, and he was kind of tripping. So it's just like, in the history of high school basketball, me and Jamal are there. We're pioneers to jumpstart. Now, Doug Christie did it 10 years before, and we were just able to pick it back up. But under the coaching of Mike Bethea directly, and with Coach Mike still being there, we started the whole movement. And the reason why Nate Robinson went to Rainier Beach, the reason why Roderick and Lodrick went to Rainier Beach, was because of me and Jamal Crawford. They were in the stands watching us play as kids and was like, I want to go to Rainier Beach. So to be able to be pioneers and to provide a platform where kids can go and play basketball, like I'm very humbled and I'm kind of speechless towards it as well. And I'm just thankful that I have been able to live that and say that I'm a true state champion and nobody can take that away.
Yeah, for me, it all comes full circle from the standpoint. Like I still look at pictures. My favorite picture that somebody's ever took of me from this whole journey, NBA, New York Knicks days, LA Clipper days, whatever. My favorite picture ever is me in a high school uniform. And I have it downstairs in my house. And I have it blown up life size. Like it's my favorite picture ever. And it just makes it really come home because it's the most fun I ever had. It's the funnest time of my life, and it's accomplishing all these things and whatever. Like that was the most fun. And that couldn't happen without Dave. Like if Dave's not on that team, we don't win a championship. If I'm not on that team, we don't win a championship. So we went hand in hand. And it was just, and we understood that. We understood our responsibility. And I think the work you see that we put in over the course of time, on and off the court, is legendary.
And off the court especially, I think that's the one takeaway, hopefully, that people get from this podcast in general, but especially this episode is, yes, you guys were great players, but the people that you are got you to where you ultimately are right now. And that's given back to the community. It's
right.
You're laying the blueprint for this place and hopefully other places that listen and hear, oh, wow, this is how you do it.
Well, if I could expound on anything, Jeremy, I would say one of the things that really, really opened my eyes to even in the direction of where Jamal was headed was when he did his top 30 camp and having like the players bring a pair of shoes for the less fortunate. And we're on a U-Haul truck for 2 hours, giving shoes to hundreds and hundreds of other kids that don't have, is just the humility side of that was just, my kids they couldn't believe it. I took them so they can see this is what me and Uncle Maul are doing, or Uncle Maul allowed me to be a part to do this with them. This is the community work of how you treat people right in your community, because everybody doesn't have what you guys have. Dad, why don't we get a backpack? Because I can buy you one. Some kids don't have the supplies in order to be able to do that. So to see with Jamal on that truck, himself, his son, me, a couple other people, vests, on the truck, actually handing shoes out to people that were extremely thankful. Some brand new, some weren't. But to be that right there is the stuff that just goes unaccounted for. It's not just to say that he just did that. No, he stayed out there the whole time on the truck to do it. Everybody don't do that, man. So it's just like, Jamal, I continue to salute you as my brother because, again, you always got to give people their flowers while they're here, man. And just for where we come from and to where we're going, and even with life after basketball, bro, I got you 100%. And whatever you do, I'm going to be there to try to make it perfect for you and hold you accountable to make sure that it's done the right way, bro. For real, yeah. I salute you on that.
I salute you. You're my brother for life, period. Like that, nothing, no time or space can ever change that. Like that's just what it is. So anything I'm doing, you'll be right there doing it with me side by side. And that's how it's always been.
Absolutely.
Man, and you see it, you were the duo back then. You're the duo right now.
Still the duo.
You can feel the chemistry. I'm just out on the wing, ready to shoot,
Hey, be ready, locked and loaded. We got you.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
It's really cool to be able to relive that with you guys and just understand that, like Jamal was saying, that's the most fun time he had playing basketball. It's kind of leaves me a little speechless. This has been a really cool conversation, though.
It has. When Dave told me he was jumping on with you, I was like, hold on. I'm supposed to jump on with him, too. Let's just do it together.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And you know what, Jeremy? This may be history. I can't remember us doing an interview together. Dave, have we?
Wow.
Yeah, this is historic. So you got something special here.
Wow.
Yeah, this is the first of this is definitely the first of many because again, there's still a lot of stuff that's untold. That's that we will be able to embark on, because there's just so many different things of
and different layers of it.
Helping, man, and it's all about helping somebody else, man. He tweets it all the time. What's the tweet that you say, Mo?
Which one?
It's nice to be it's nice to be nice, but it's something like,
it's a blessing to be able to bless people, others.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's not always financially. It's with sometimes me and him have been places where we just had conversations with kids, Jeremy, and it just made the difference in the world. Or had a conversation with a parent of a kid that was at the program that didn't know which direction to help to take their kid, and just kind of being a big brother and mentor. You know, it's important.
It is.
You're in the ultimate position because that you hold a lot of power with those people. That time that you give them goes a long way. But that is a lot of responsibility, man. And you've been tested throughout 19 years of being in the NBA. There's a lot of, I don't know, I always say whenever I make baskets, when I'm on the playground, I'm like, man, I feel good. And I can't imagine what it is to be in the NBA, you know? So to be able to keep that humility, I'm sure that's what Dave is saying this whole time, is keeps alluding to, you know, staying the same guy throughout all this. So
yeah,
it's amazing.
I wouldn't be able to sleep with myself if I changed. So yeah, that's just, you know, my sister said a long time ago, you become a bigger version of what you already were when you come into a lot of money or fame or whatever. And it just really exemplifies who you are. If you were a nice guy, you'll be even nicer because you have more to be nice with. If you're somebody who wasn't, you're going to, you know, really think you're on your high horse because you're at this certain level. So for me, I was always the same person.
And one of the things I'd like to add, if you don't mind, Jeremy, before we close it, is just kind of addressing the elephant in the room of this, obviously, pandemic that we've been going through here with the coronavirus. Is just, regardless of how much money you have, how much fame you have, everybody is on the same playing field when it comes to something like this. So it just kind of keeps things in perspective that we all kind of do the same thing, and we're all people. So nobody's better than anybody else because of their fame or their fortune, because everybody right now is in the same situation or the same category.
See, Dave, I think we're all the same even before this. I just think now this is a reminder to people that may have thought they were on something different.
Right.
That, no, we're all the same. You know
right.
what I mean? So that.
It's easy to get caught up in everyday life and stuff, but this is exactly that reminder.
Right.
Good. That's great. Great reminder sometimes.
And just thinking it's not the most important thing by any means, but my wife keeps asking me, you know, what about the Pro-Am in the summer? I'm like, I don't even want to think about that until, you know, June. So
yeah, we got to just follow the guidelines and see how it goes, you know, as far as everything else, the world and the way it's moving.
Now, granted, is this something that we want? Yes, but we're not going to put anybody at risk of anything. So we're going to take the definite precautionary measures, and Governor Inslee and his staff of whatever they put in place, that we can line this up, and hopefully life can get back to normal, though.
No doubt. And just shout out to Jamal for giving back to Seattle here with his donations recently for the COVID-19 thing. Shout out. I know he would never mention it, but shout out to him for doing that. And then just to kind of wrap, shout out to Dave King too. We talked about it earlier, but from
Dave King.
Yeah, man. From day one, you've always treated me incredibly well. And it was so fun to be able to look back at you as a player and just the way you moved. I was trying to figure out who to compare it to, and I didn't have enough time to really, Jamal, anybody you would compare Dave King's game to?
Well, in high school, he was like Shaq for me. I mean, I felt he was that dominant in high school, to be honest with you. Like, all relative, of course, but that's what I felt. And he proved it. He went out and proved it. He's the best big in the state in a time where there was a bunch of talented bigs, you know, and a bunch of good bigs. He was just that dominant. There was no stopping him. Even Doug Wren, I think, said one time, like, me and him kind of canceled each other out one game. It's like we had nobody to stop Big Dave. So he was that guy.
Well, Doug Wren also when I put something up, I don't know if you on Facebook, Jeremy, but I put something up, is Crawford and King, one of the best dynamic duels that the state has ever seen. And Doug Wren was great. You know what I'm saying? One of the best I've ever seen in Washington, period. Period, point blank. He said they got two victories on me and stopped me from winning the championship in 1998. So that goes beyond measures, because Doug was so talented and so good and so dominant. And for us to be able to beat and for him to give respect like that, a lot of respect is given back to him for that as well, because he made us play harder. He helped us elevate our games in order to be competitive on that level. And
it showed. You finished it out perfect. That's quite the end to your high school career, man. That was so cool. And you'll see it in the podcast, but your interview at the end, we mentioned it earlier. That was the cherry on top. I'm glad I waited for that.
Sure was.
Well, thank you for having me, Jeremy, man. And like I said, I wouldn't want to do it any other way than with my brother, because we're just always going to implement realism, and we're doing it for the culture. So
absolutely.
No, I can't thank you both enough for coming on. I'm glad I could help tell this story a little bit, and
yes,
who knows, we'll go into it more again one day. There's more to unpack.
Yes.
Hey, shout out to Coach Mike Bethea, man. Greatest coach ever in high school history in Washington State.
Not even close.
And he hasn't aged that much. I was impressed. I was like, okay, this is 20 years, and he looks pretty much the same. I know everybody would say that about Jamal. Dave, same with you. You got that same face, that same smile. So
that beach blood, man.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Thank you both for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. Jamal Crawford and
Thanks
David
for having
King.
us, Jeremy.
The duo.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Take care.